In the past, pretty much all the news that's been coming out about the new Blade movie from Marvel has been kind of bad, at least in my opinion has been. But now we're starting to get some good information about it, and it's all just a matter of whether Marvel can stick the landing. According to this headline from Comic Book Resources, the MCU Blade reboot gets a surprising adult rating. Now, scrolling down to the article, Marvel Studios' Blade reboot is a long way from filming, but director Jan Demage has already teased ways the film will push new boundaries within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it talks about this is coming from a recent interview and how the movie has been delayed, countless delays due to both the Writers Guild of America strike and the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike. That's not the only reason that this movie's been delayed, but I'll get more on that in a moment. But Demage remains positive regarding the project. Per the director, the reboot will not only allow leading man Mahershala Ali a chance to showcase a ferocity on screen, but it will also reportedly be R-rated. They gave me the R, which is so important, he said. And I agree, you kind of need to have an R-rated Blade movie because, I mean, it's going to be a bloody mess. Not in the way the British say, but I mean, it's a vampire movie. You need to have a lot of blood in this type of movie. Now, whether Marvel actually utilizes the R-rated to its proper capabilities remains to be seen. I mean, they could still sanitize the violence and have the quippy dialogue that Marvel's come to be known for. But they could just drop a couple F-bombs and be like, yeah, see, we got an R rating and use this as a marketing play, but that really wouldn't help the movie as a whole. But I do have reason to think that they are trying to make a more darker, grittier, brutal movie that they're going to introduce into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that's because of this latest announcement of the new Marvel Spotlight branding that they're doing on some of their shows and movies, with Echo that's coming out in January being the first one. Now, people who watched my video talking about the trailer of that noticed that I was saying it reminded me of a lot of the Netflix shows and the brutality of it. And that's kind of what the Marvel Spotlight branding is supposed to do, in that it's supposed to be almost like a separate story in and of itself, like the Netflix shows were with Daredevil, how it was part of the MCU as a whole, but at the same time, it felt like its own standalone thing, and you didn't need to watch everything else up to that point in order to watch that. And not to mention the tone of it was completely different than what we've come to expect from a lot of other Marvel properties. And I think they're going to be doing that with the Blade movie too, which does seem fitting, because I don't see with the modern Marvel movies how Blade would actually work in that one format, but maybe they actually are trying to do something. And this article that we all saw coming out from Variety talking about some of the inner turmoil going on at the studios, with insiders kind of spilling the beans on what's been going on. There was a section in there talking about the actual Blade movie, and this is what they said. As public criticism mounts, Feige is pulling the plug on scripts and projects that aren't working. Case in point, the Blade reboot with Mahershala Ali signed on for the eponymous role of vampire. Things looked promising for 2023 release date, but the project has gone through at least 5 writers, 2 directors, 1 shutdown. 6 weeks before production, one person familiar with the script permutation says the story at one point morphed into a narrative led by women and filled with life lessons. Blade was relegated to the 4th lead, a bizarre idea considering that the studio had 2-time Oscar winner Ali on board. So in other words,
put a ticket in and make a name it gay!
Amid reports that Ali was ready to exit over script issues, Feige went back to the drawing board and hired Michael Green, the Oscar-nominated writer of Logan, to start anew. Speculations around town is that the studio is looking to make the film, now slated for 2025, on a budget of less than $100 million. Yeah, that's pretty significant news for this movie, all things considered, because there hasn't been an MCU movie to date that has been made for less than $100 million. I'm pretty sure even Iron Man, the very first one that came out in 2008, was made for over $100 million. So this just goes to show that their budgets have been ballooning to such astronomical proportions that they're just not profitable for them. I mean, and that makes sense when you're spending $250-300 million on a movie. You need to make like $700-800 million at the global box office in order to just break even, and that's just not sustainable for these studios, and that's why they need to severely reduce the budget. But there is the added benefit of having a reduced budget like this, because it allows, at least in theory, should allow the people that the studio hires to make the movie, like Jan Demage or Michael Green, to actually have more creative say in what the final outcome of the movie is going to be, instead of where you need to appeal to as massive audience as possible. So then you get the executives putting their fingerprints on everything and trying to insert like their own ideas. And for this movie, are they going to say like, okay, we're not spending as much, so we can allow Green and Demage to actually do their thing with it, and we'll support them? I still think Kevin Feige is too narcissistic to do that, and he's probably going to insert his own opinions into us and have some creative say in what's going on. Because I mean, this article from Variety even says that's what Kevin Feige does. He likes to he likes to mess with every movie in post-production in order to try to do something to it and give it, they'd say, his polish. But I mean, personally, I think it's been crap, but that's what they've been doing. But hopefully they're trying to move away from that by reducing the budgets of this. And I would actually appreciate to see more stuff like this in the future. But whether this is actually going to change course and fix Marvel, no, this alone won't do this, because they've damaged their brand to the point so badly that it'll take years of like actual goodwill, or regaining that goodwill, to actually return to form. Like, and I don't think they'll ever get back to where they were in the peak, which was 2019 with Endgame. I mean, those days are long gone. And I think the best that they can hope for now is, because the superhero genre is starting to die out as far as the entertainment industry goes, or at least as far as Hollywood is concerned. And I think they're hoping that they can, instead of just kind of fizzling out on a whimper, at least try to go out on somewhat of a high note, even if it's not at their peak. Still go out on like, okay, at least that went out kind of on their own terms. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Do you think Marvel can actually regain any goodwill at all with the general audiences, to the point where at least people look at them favorably? Or do you think those days are long gone? There's nothing that they can actually do to kind of rekindle that? I'm curious what people have to say about this. And if you like this video, make sure you click that like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.